Welcome back to the Racing Mind video series, where we journey deeper into the human mind than anyone has ever gone before. In this video series, we untangle the ancient mystery of mental illness and teach you what you need to know before your racing mind gets the best of you. This groundbreaking series provides answers to some of the deepest mysteries of the human mind and reveals, for the first time in history, the precise cause of mental and emotional illness and the psychophysiological basis of a wide range of psychiatric disorders and associated medical conditions. These educational videos, which present concepts that are so new that they are just beginning to make their way through the medical field, are based on thousands of hours of direct patient analysis and clinical observation in conjunction with the latest research on psychiatric disorders from around the world. In this segment of the series, we will discuss neuronal hyperexcitability in relation to clinical depression. Strictly speaking, depression is a mood state rather than a disorder. It's an emotion that all of us experience from time to time in relation to some negative stressor. Normally, the intensity of the emotion is appropriate to the severity of the stressor and does not last for very long. As a disorder, however, depression is a persistent mood that is accompanied by a number of other signs and symptoms that together are referred to as clinical depression. These other signs and symptoms typically include anxiety, irritability, loss of energy, loss of motivation, difficulty concentrating, and changes in sleep pattern. What causes these symptoms to develop is that some external stressor ignites the cognitive emotional system. The stress in the system causes the mind to overstimulate the brain. If the stressor persists, it will heat up the brain like a flame of fire. As the brain becomes increasingly hyperactive, it will increasingly overstimulate the mind, thus creating a vicious cycle of mutual overstimulation between the mind and the brain. If allowed to continue, this repeating cycle of mutual overstimulation between the mind and the brain can escalate like two people caught in an argument. Persons who are born with hyperexcitable neurons are especially vulnerable to this phenomenon, thus explaining why such persons are more vulnerable to developing clinical depression in response to stress. What makes antidepressant therapy risky is that antidepressants have mixed effects on the brain. They tend to quiet some parts of the brain while stimulating others. The stimulatory effects can increase the risk of electrical short circuits, in which hyperactivity in feel-good circuit loops aberrantly fuels activity in feel-bad circuit loops or vice versa. The risk of such manic-depressive switching increases as the dosage of an antidepressant increases, particularly in those whose neurons are inherently hyperexcitable. Hence, antidepressant therapy should be reserved for persons with low baseline levels of neuronal excitability, such as those with true unipolar depression and little or no history of psychiatric symptoms. Note, however, that this is only a small minority of the depressed population, as it takes unusually high levels of sustained stress to drive the development of symptoms in persons whose brains are not inherently hyperexcitable. The overwhelming majority of depressed patients have higher levels of neuronal excitability and, consequently, tend to be intolerant of the continual stimulating effects of antidepressants. Such patients generally fare better with neuroregulatory type drugs, either as single drug therapy or in combination with other neuroregulators. In the rare case in which an antidepressant is still needed, the inhibitory effects of the neuroregulators, more commonly known as anticonvulsants, tend to prevent the manic depressive switching that would otherwise be driven by the antidepressant. As with most other psychiatric disorders, the most effective natural ways to reverse and prevent clinical depression include stress reduction, establishment of an early sleep schedule, regular exercise, enjoying a relaxing hobby, avoiding caffeine and other psychostimulants, and minimizing refined sugar. In addition, cognitive behavioral and other forms of psychotherapy may be needed to reduce the mental tension that fuels almost all psychiatric disorders. Control your brain, control your life. We hope that you are benefiting from this video series. Portions of the video and others in this series were taken from the books The Racing Mind and Am I Depressed or Am I Bipolar? Those interested in developing a deeper understanding of the topic can also refer to the scientific publication, The Multi-Circuit Neuronal Hyperexcitability Hypothesis of Psychiatric Disorders. Please note that these materials in this video series are for educational purposes only and are not intended to guide treatment without formal evaluation. This video series is sponsored by the Binder Foundation, a charitable organization that is dedicated to the enhancement of human life through research and education on disorders of the mind, body, and spirit. If you have found this video to be a benefit to you, please share it with your family and friends. And please don't forget, your feedback is important to us.